Okay, good afternoon or good morning to everyone, to our viewers. Welcome to our last 14th session virtual seminar on applied analysis in Central Asia. Today we're very privileged and excited to have two speakers. The main speaker is Dr. Ihtiyor Bobojonov. He joins us from Halle, Germany. He working from IAMO, Institute for Agriculture Development in Transition Economies. He's been a research associate in the Department of Agriculture Markets since 2012. He has a PhD from the University of Bonn in Germany, and today he will speak about agriculture insurance markets from index design to farmers adoption. And he's a frequent visitor to the region, originally from Uzbekistan, and he mentors, advises lots of students from Central Asia. So we're very excited and glad to have Ihtiyor with us. Thank you. To discuss and offer his comments at the end, we have another original from Uzbekistan, Jarokhasan Ilyasov. Jarokhasan, thank you very much for joining us and agreeing to discuss the presentation. He's joining us early morning from Washington, D.C. He's a senior research analyst at the International Food Policy Research Institute. He also previously worked at IAMO, and he's a frequent visitor to the region and contributes to the policy discussions quite frequently. So thank you to both of you. So without further ado, I would like to remind our viewers, so if you have questions, please use the chat or Q&A function during the presentation. At the end, you also will have the chance to ask any questions you may have. So with that, over to you, Ihtiyor.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning to the people who are in the US. I try to share my my screen now. Just a second. It should work now. Yes. It's working. Yeah, I'm glad to have an opportunity to present my or our studies in the seminar series. It was so difficult to get a turn in this, and I turned to be the last one. And I'm going to mainly speak about the summary of 3 studies in this presentation. It's about agricultural insurance. It's mainly in index insurance, and I'm going to speak about the whole chain of designing a product to implementation process. And I'm going to give mainly the summary of 3 studies. The first one is on the design of on index insurance, and second one is on the demand analysis, and the last one is on the implementation activities. The presentation I'm going to the presentations I'm going to present is based on my joint work together with Dr. Lena Kuhn, Sarwar Bek-Eltazarov, Laura Morris, and Professor Thomas Globun. The content of my presentation as follows. I shortly speak about the climate change as a motivation to improve insurance markets in Central Asia, and as I indicated, will provide the summary of one study on index design. Is a joint work with Sarwar Bek-Eltazarov, and the second one is on the demand analysis. It's a joint work with Laura Morris done. Those are two of our PhD students. And I'll shortly discuss you on implementation activities in Mongolia and in Uzbekistan, followed by summary of the presentation. As Bahram informed me in his last email that the most of the presentations are also students from Central Asia. I will try to also shortly or provide information about the methodologies used in the studies, because the most of the students might be searching for topic or searching for useful methodologies, and therefore I will try to give an information about the methodologies I or our students use in these projects. It could be also implemented in other topics or also outside the index insurance. As we know about the climate change, I do not go too much of the details here. Just one point is that the temperature is increasing. Of course, in some regions, the temperature increase could of course slightly benefit, but as you know, that it also causes extra water demand, which is already, the water is already scarce in Central Asia. Therefore, it might cause large issues. If you look on the precipitation trends, there are also slight change on the precipitation trends in Central Asia. I put Russia and Germany here to comparison. Especially if you look at Uzbekistan, it looks like the precipitation is also increasing, as well as in other countries. But it's important to note that in this region, most of the precipitation increase occurs in the winter months, outside of the vegetation period. That this is no use for agricultural production, of course. One of the main challenge is in this region is that the occurrence of the weather extremes that could be one of the largest challenges in agricultural production. As you know, that agricultural production plays an important role in many of these countries because of the contribution to the GDP or the share of agricultural employment or the share of rural population, and therefore this increasing risk has large consequences into the whole economy of these countries. As we know, in the countries that most of the or almost all countries are trying to increase investment to agriculture, to modernize agricultural production, to modernize technologies. However, there is a very large challenge. For example, agriculture cannot attract credits because it's very volatile production, and many banks are very reluctant to give credit to agricultural production, especially for smallholders, because not many smallholders have assets to use as a collateral. And the world experience shows that agricultural insurance can be used as a collateral. It was also partially implemented in case of Uzbekistan in cotton and in wheat farming systems to secure the state mandatory crops when they receive credits. But I need to mention the certain challenges are here. It has shown to be a rather challenge than the solving the problem, because many farmers have certain problems to get their payments from the insurance companies, and there are very reluctant motivation of the farmers to get this insurance products. And one of the main challenges is the trust, because this is currently done in traditional insurance. What's the main difference? I want to shortly explain it here. If you have people from general audience, if you have a traditional insurance, if the farmer has a loss, then they report it by insurance company, and insurance company sends its agent to prove the field, and they come and check, okay, there is a damage or not. It's a very subjective process, and then farmers do not believe the insurance company do not believe the farmers. And therefore, there is a large mistrust here. And then index insurance can help to solve this problem. It's start to be discussed in the last 20 years or 15, 20 years as a kind of magic solution to solve this problem. Like to say that, okay, no, in the index insurance, the insurance company do not need to check the farmer because it's based on one index. Let's say rainfall for rainfall agriculture. If the farmer gets less than certain amount of rainfall, that the farmer gets payment, and this data is not based on the manual control, but rather from the weather stations. And therefore, it was assumed that, okay, it will solve the problem. But in fact, during the 20 years, the problem did not get solved automatically with introduction of index insurance, because one of the main challenges is the scarcity of the weather data. For example, I explained it to the index design part that not many data, not many station data is available. And the yield data is also scarce to develop these products, and this prices also relatively remain high. And then the dissemination occurring is very slow. Here, I show the map generated in cooperation with Dr. Lena Kuhn. We are working on a new one publication on the dissemination of the adoption of the insurance in worldwide, mainly in India or Latin America, US and Canada. This is occurring, but in other parts of the world, there is a still slow process, and therefore, there is a lack of research why this is not occurring. And if you look at the adoption from the product design to adoption, it's a whole chain. The problems are occurring in each of the steps, and therefore we decided to take into account the whole steps. In case of Central Asia, first we investigate suitable index insurance products for Central Asia and in Mongolia, and we also investigate demand for index insurance products, as well as we investigate the scientific transfer process, implementation process. The work I'm going to present is based on the activities of ongoing project called ClimaList, on increasing climate resilience via agriculture insurance. The project is funded by BMBF and planned for the years of 2018 and 2021, and implemented in cooperation with local insurance companies. We work all local insurance companies, as well as German reinsurance company Hannover, as well as scientific partners. We work together with Humboldt University, Tashkent State. In the scope of this project, we work also Tashkent State Economic University. We also work with, in Kazakhstan, we work with the Saifulun University of Agri-Technologies in Astana, and also University of Central Asia in Bishkek. As a first step of the insurance, we had to identify index, and I shortly mentioned the problem associated with having access to climate data is a problematic, because here in this I should have a pointer somewhere here. Here in this map here you can see the location of weather stations. So if you look at this, those are very sparsely located. More than 96% of the cropland in this region is located outside 20 kilometers of weather station. It means that longer the location of the weather station from the field and the usage or the benefit of using the station data is really difficult. One challenge. Another challenge is to have access to those data. If there are students or researchers in this webinar who try to get an access to the national hydrological data may understand me very well. It's treated as a national security and very, very difficult to get an access to this data and how you develop an index or based on this data if you do not have an access to this data. And therefore, we started to look at alternative options, and then one alternative option is to get it satellite data because those are freely available if you do not get it on station, and you can get it from satellite data. But of course, then we have to test it, and then the work is going to be implemented with Sarbarvik Tazarov. We are checking the accuracy of this data. For example, here I provide one example comparison of satellite data with station data. The above is we use two satellite-based data, GISMAP on chips, and those are the monthly precipitation data. We put over station data, and overall in the graphically the pattern looks more or less okay, except the points located outside. Those are the red dots are the outside, but in the chips it looks okay with a similar pattern. And also in case of temperature data below, it's from another satellite based, because it's not purely satellite but satellite based data as GILDAS, and is also a comparison between Tmax and minimum temperature and maximum temperature plotted here. Is also pattern looks quite okay. And then we also implemented some tests, several tests we implemented here as a result from quantile regression. And overall, if you look at the graphical presentation, it was okay. When you run a quantile regression or other tests, we look into more details of the weather station data, satellite data, and then there are of course some underestimation or overestimation here exists, and this one is in the left hand side is a GISMAP data, and right hand side is a CHIPS data, and both of them have some underestimation or overestimation exists depending on the quantiles. Also, you can see a table below, but in overall in our analysis, GISMAP data shows relatively less variation when compared to CHIPS data, which is also CHIPS data was widely used in index design in African countries, but we have seen that this is not very much suitable to our region. Instead, GISMAP shows more accurate, but again, we have to be here a little careful because there are still the overestimation and underestimation exists, and therefore we have developed the certain methodologies to overcome these issues. And another data is a GILDAS data. This is a temperature data. There's also some difference, of course, exists, but in case of temperature data, the difference between the weather station data and the left hand side is a Tmin, on the right hand side is a Tmax. As you can see here, most of the data lies on the confidence interval, and the difference is here not too much. Having done so, and Then having done so, we have also looked at, based on this data afterwards, identifying a good sources for index. We have developed indexes, and then also already piloted it in Uzbekistan. I come to that later. And then since we are working with many insurance companies, many countries, there are also demand for more other type of products. For example, the vegetation index. I honestly saying I did not write here the name of the index on purpose, because we are estimating it in ourselves and then adjusting the existing vegetation indexes, and we have to find the proper suitable name for this for widely application. But over here you can see that for example, the index, this is the Zafarabad district as an example from the vegetation index application 2011 and 2016. One is 2011 is a more drought situation, and then the 2016 is a better year. And also below here you can see the index together with district level yield data. Is also from the for the irrigated agriculture in Khorasan province. Baghdad district is also like 2011 and 2016 comparison. You can see that this is a well fits and to capture the losses. And based on this, we have created data. We created indices suitable for different farming systems, Kyrgyzstan and in Uzbekistan and in Mongolia. After having this developed, we have conducted demand, and then we have priced this these products based in cooperation with agricultural insurance companies in the region. Just I come back to this index design approach. I already mentioned the methodological issues is also the one point is in the index design. It's always and the index design is always like kind of it's more interdisciplinary research, and from the methodological point of view, it's an interdisciplinary research. You have to know a little bit more on the agronomic issues, because you have to know how the plants are growing, how the vegetation is growing, what are the main determinants of the yield. There's also a little bit of climatic knowledge or related to climatology, because you have to know how to deal with the data and different indices are used. And then in case of demand, there's a more economic analysis, and then here we have already data, and then here we already have index product and also price that it's ready to market the product. For example, here it's a demand analysis conducted in Kyrgyzstan. Mainly work is done by our student Laura Morris, and then the methodologically here we use so-called insurance schemes. It's a experimental approach because why it's important of this approach? It's a very interactive approach, because when the product does not exist in the region, you have to also combine. You cannot come to the farmer and ask if you want to buy index insurance product if he doesn't know it, and therefore you have to explain. Even you explain it, you have to make sure that they understand it, and therefore this is insurance schemes or the experimental approach give us a certain advantages, that you work very close with farmers and try to assess the realistically. And then we also conduct a questionnaire, because you need to know the farm properties they have in order to know as a main important aspects to influence on their decision making. And after this, we simulate the games. Like in each group, we have like 15, 20 farmers. Mainly in Kyrgyzstan, we have conducted in Chui province, mainly in rainfed agriculture. And then we replicate the experiment over 5 runs. Like this is why we needed like kind of to know how the farmers react under different financial conditions, under different different weather conditions. And then we offer 3 type of marketable products, 3 different marketable products ready to be sold. And then overall, overall we have conducted this 126 farmers out. I mean, it was okay 145, but out of it, like there are some farmers who did not fill the questionnaire, or there are some farmers exited, and therefore like we have a full data set for 126 farmers. And overall, we have like here we have different products like A, B, C. Those are different products. One are more relative cheaper product. A is like kind of less cheap product, but it's also provides less payouts. It's relatively cheap, but also relatively less payouts. And then insurance B is more or less middle class. It's also relatively it's more expensive than the A, but also has more payouts. And then we have insurance C, like this is relatively expensive product, but also provides us more payouts. And then in the insurance games, after conducting the games, after collecting the information, we have here we have done the econometric analysis of the data in order to see what are the main important aspects of. One of the important aspects is found important by Laura is that here that group effects are very important. What does it mean? That I do not go for each of the details. Hopefully, the paper will be published soon. We will have a look into details. But most important message is here on the peer effects that the farmers may, as you can hear, that have more willingness to buy if larger amount of farmers in the group buys the insurance. This is a very important aspect for the implementation issues. And another issue we have identified in such demand experience is also the social networks. Together to social networks is also the trust is also a very large plays a very large importance. Is also we have identified that the farmers prefer, even it's a little bit of expensive to buy more expensive products, that they need better coping strategies. And we have conducted this games or insurance games or experiments in real-time experience. Here you can see that they are playing in how they can play in the right hand side, and those are the real farmers, and the product also real. And then the decision making they implement is also taken from the daily decisions, real farming systems. And then we have seen that the very large part of the farmers want to buy. One of the challenge we face that farmers indicate, okay, after the games we ask the farmers, and then they indicate, okay, no, it's interesting, we need, but I have to make sure that we have I need to have a certain budget to purchase this product, and therefore availability of cash could be one of the certain challenges in real-term implementation, that also farmers might want to buy this product, even they understand. I make once more stress out this word understand, because this is also in the analysis, it also shows that very important aspects, that they understand this, that how this works, and some farmers understand it very fast, and then we make sure that in the middle of the game, or even close to the end of the game, some farmers are still not understanding it, but still they are still buying it, but because their neighbors are buying it, but they might not still understand, and therefore it's a little bit of challenging issues that understand is a very much important. I also come back to this issue in the piloting activities. And then having we have also conducted the same type of experiments in Uzbekistan, and because of the time's sake, I only presented from Kyrgyzstan, but also conducted in Uzbekistan, and also we were able to make a micro piloting. I indicate the word here micro piloting because it was very small number of farmers about in Uzbekistan. As you see in the photo, is a contract signing process, and is also the in the right hand side of the you can see here the copy of the insurance contract they made with farmers, and we made the piloting in Zamin district, micro piloting in Zamin district, and then the insurance product we have implemented is a rainfall insurance. And IAMO, I want to mention here this as a settlement agent, because we also function as a settlement agent. What does it mean? It's why I mentioned the in the title from index design to implementation is that you can create a new index and then recommend it to insurance company or insurance companies. But if there is no index is available, which you design it that they can use, the insurance company, the implementation will not happen, because how they can get, usually the local insurance companies might not have like kind of sophisticated tools just to imitate this index, and therefore we were trying to cover the whole chain that to secure the implementation process, and we have seen that this is like kind of is a very important aspect. And now we are still continuing in Uzbekistan. In 2020, the piloting, we were expecting to extend the sample to have more farmers, and then also to have to introduce new products, but the current quarantine restrictions was so hard that the insurance agents could not go to the fields and meet with farmers. Hopefully we will catch it up in the next year. Instead, we were more the situation in Mongolia was more easy to implement. On the demand of my Ministry of Agriculture, we work in cooperation with Mongolian Re, the insurance company in Mongolia, to create index insurance suitable for crop farming. Mongolia is one of the kind of case study or the bright spot in index insurance when it comes to livestock insurance, because the country is one of the countries where the livestock insurance was implemented in early years in cooperation with World Bank and Ministry of Agriculture in Mongolia, and then the participation rate is always growing and then often short. But in case of crop insurance, there were no index insurance, and therefore we work at them. In this year, about exactly 387 farmers were insured with the index. We have designed which is equal of more than 22,000 hectares, and then this is mainly used to secure the 30% of the subsidized loan. And then this also, currently the farmers pay in the beginning only 30% of the premium before the vegetation period, and then the rest they pay after the harvest, because as I indicated, the budget issue from Kyrgyzstan experimental case, I indicated the budget issue. It's a very challenging issue, and therefore it was in case of Mongolia that they pay 30% of the 30% of the premium, and still, like in case of Uzbekistan, we also function as a settlement agent in this case, and then we provide to the farmers on the index values. They can have a look, farmers, on the index values. Here in this table you can see the participation rate. It's the first year we start off the piloting, but the participation rate is also between 4 and 16%, depending on the different provinces, and this is a very good indicator. If I summarize, and is overall the lack of national climate service data or the access or the location of the weather stations is one of the it's not only, but one of the challenges which exist. And satellite data could provide some kind of relief to solve this problem, but we have to consider it with carefulness, because I showed in our analysis you have to be careful in the index design, and then to look at the properties of each available data. And as you see from the demand analysis, that the pay limitations are very important, and the lack of confidence or lack of trust to insurance companies maybe have a large obstacles. For example, especially in Uzbekistan, farmers in the game, so I'm mentioning that they have a certain problems with insurance companies. This becomes a large challenge. And also we have in the games or experiments, we see that the demand increases very fast if the product is combined with credits, because it's why it's important, because the price margin of the price they pay for the index product is less than the gain marginal return they get to investment and to farm level. Therefore, like, even the product is expensive, even the expensive, they are going to buy it, because the profit they make it with the access to credit is much more higher than the payment to insurance. And therefore it's very important that the index insurance is not just a risk management tool, but also enables access to credit. And we learn a lot from the piloting activities, and challenges existing as an important aspect. Therefore, as we have to always start with now we have a lot of new reformers in such countries, a lot of nice reforms, nice implementation intentions, but those intentions have to be tested in pilot scales in order to understand the challenges in reality. Thank you very much, and looking forward for discussion and questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ihtiyor. So with comments, I would like to ask Jalal Qasim to provide his comments. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ihtiyor, for such a concise presentation summarizing 3 studies on a very important and interesting subject. And my discussion is going to be relevant to the points that has been presented by you. And then, of course, these points might have been already or going to be addressed in the paper. So again, the relevance and importance of this study is immense. Farmers, like everywhere in the world, especially smallholders, but especially in Central Asia, are exposed to a variety of risks that can lead to income fluctuations, risk representing a major hurdle, as the author suggested, the investment, productivity growth, poverty reduction, and again, like affecting the smaller holders more than maybe the bigger farmers. Having said that, risks affect not only farmers and farming community incomes, but also disrupt food supply, and therefore affects the food security. And then the risks can vary from normal, like causing a small and frequent damage, which farmers try to cope with diversifying their production, accumulation of savings, or use more resistant types of products, to catastrophic, which are rare and highly damaging, which requires ex-ante policies, assistance measures, as well as ex-post intervention policies. In between, I think there's, there comes this called the marketable risk, where risk could be managed through market tools such as forward contracting or risk pooling by cooperation and private insurances, etc. So this study is very important contribution to shed light into our understanding and provide solutions or alternative solutions to eliminate and manage some of the risks associated with weather fluctuations, and increasingly, which is an increasingly worrisome in Central Asia, especially. So objectives and rather than subjective process of insurance process can indeed improve the relationship and trust between the insurance providers or different actors and the farmers. And also, I totally agree and support that the using satellite data can provide better data and more access to different users, which is very important when the data availability and access to it as an issue. So again, I have many questions. I want to know the every single detail of this study, but I think because of the time limitation, I will restrict myself to a few. And as a member of my family dwelling in the countryside, I used to engage in farming, and when I was young, and I used to always worry about the future harvest, the price of inputs, labor, profitability. I think I used to sometimes worry about these things more than my school. And I used to try to imitate two successful farmers and learn from their coping strategies. And I realized that although we were all kind of, in a way, living in the same village and maybe categorized as the same farmers, we were different. So naturally, I am very interested in your study like, to know a little more about the survey side, about the respondents, which are, again, farmers. It would be very interesting to know how different they are and if they were selected randomly for this study. Also, the follow-up to this, like, I'm also wondering if the study, involves the both treated and control groups, and if not, then would your analysis, would it be possible to do that in your future analysis? And another things, like, literature suggests that index-based agricultural insurance has offered the promise of overcoming the hurdles of traditional indemnity-based insurance, which you already suggested, which authors suggested earlier. And literature also suggests that in spite of extensive experimentation, take-up has been disappointingly low without large and sustained subsidies. So my second question is, like, so naturally I am interested what your study suggests, like, about the take-up of this the scheme in the long run, and especially in places where it is subsidized. Again, like, I'm not going to dwell into the methods, different methodologies, what could be used to analyze. But I think that maybe my third kind of a question would be, more in general, would be weather effect must be significantly different across different farming systems. And would the method of insurance would be relevant only to rain-fed agriculture, you're studying? And if that is true, I think most of agricultural production in terms of production value is based on irrigated agriculture, except in Kazakhstan, maybe, in Central Asia. So does your study explore insurance, does this also somehow relevant to irrigated farms? And also I would be, in general, I'm also interested how much in general farmers suffer because of weather shocks, and how expensive are the premiums in terms of share in their production costs. And I think, again, these things could be, and would be very interesting to know and shed light into our understanding. So I think, again, I reiterate, I cannot reiterate enough, I think, that how important and useful this study. I think especially as Ihtiyor suggested, when the more and more governments in Central Asia is thinking about not controlling and commanding farmers what to do, but also giving them more freedom, but at the same time supporting them with the different types of assistance and risk management. I think this is very encouraging, at the same time challenging for researchers to provide evidence on policy options for supporting farmers through, again, different types of risk management alternatives. And also, I think I want to finish with, I finished my talk with wishing happy last week for the students and for all the others, and also my countrymen in Uzbekistan with the upcoming holiday and Independence Day. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for finishing on that positive note and for your comments. So I'll pass it over virtually to Ihtiyor to briefly provide his response and feedback to our discussants.
Thank you, Kasin, for your very interesting questions. I will start to answer from the from last to last question before I forget to come to others. About yeah, indeed, we are working on different farming systems, because Central Asia, and when you put also Mongolia to it, we have large diversity of farming systems, and then we have to know distinguish it from each each thematic perspective. If you look at the piloting activities, so far we have currently the piloting activities took part in Uzbekistan. It's also in rainfed agriculture. It's also in Mongolia. It's also in the rainfed agriculture. The piloting activities took part in the irrigated, rainfed, because initially we have started from rainfed agriculture product design, but now we also now have mixed farming systems and also irrigated farming systems. What does the mixed farming systems indicate is also like mainly those are mainly some area, for example, some areas of Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan. Those are mainly rainfed farming systems, but they also use sometimes irrigation from time to time if the irrigation if the rainfall water is not enough. And then we also have this, or even we have a farming systems, like if you look at the one side of the road is a rainfed, another side of the road is irrigated because you have an access to irrigation. Therefore, we also have like product portfolio to such farming systems. Therefore, like also irrigated farming systems, we have suitable products. And as I said, this year is supposed to be a launch of the piloting activities for cotton production in Uzbekistan. As you know, the cotton is irrigated farming systems that we have it as long as we have work on different farming systems, the risks also very large depending on the farming system. Just to give you some feeling on the risk is also on the product prices. The range is between 2% and 9% of the outputs, like kind of over the review. If you have a less risky farming systems, in the irrigated farming systems, it can go to 2% or 3% of the revenue. And then if it's very risky rainfall farming systems, it can go to the 9% of the issue. And then the selection of the on the analysis, experiments, surveys, we usually use a stratified random sampling because we select first the case study region because of the piloting activities. We have to sort like kind of we have to select representative region. For example, for the rainfed farming system or irrigated farming system, we need to have a representative farming system, and we select the representative farming system. And then in this representative farming system, or we conduct a survey randomly, depending on the region, or we work the whole list in the, for example, for the I can say it in case of Uzbekistan, if you conduct a survey, we have conducted whole rainfall farming systems in Jizakh district in Uzbekistan, and but the games, the participation, about 200 farms we have selected the randomly for the participation. Yeah, I think those are the shortly the answers from my side. If I may have able to understand your questions well.
Okay, let me just quickly. We have 5 minutes left. There are two questions I will ask. The first one is: did farmers who bought the insurance increase output and income? And related to this, did you think about considering harvest loss due to insects and pests? It's a common problem in Central Asia. So thank you.
Yeah, from the impact, this is another objective project, we are about to analyze this yet. It's not the content of the presentation, this presentation, and hopefully I will be able to report on this in the following presentations. It's just a general, only a direction, because since they have gotten the farmers they get now have an access to credit. It's very likely that they increase, because not because of the insurance, because from the theoretical point of view, the insurance it secures against the risk, but it also allows to access to credits, because most of the who purchases it use it as a collateral to get the credit, and therefore it might have influenced on it. But this is the topic to be discussed in the following. Please follow our project website, Klimalist. There we report not only on our scientific results, scientific activities, but also more implementation activities, news related to our project. It's a Klimalist project site. You may follow it, and we will publish it there. And another question is related to the insects issue. We have for example, this is on the product design. It's very much depend on the product design. We are very much we work together with our insurance companies, and it's possible to include, for example, in case of last time in Uzbekistan, it depends on the product price. It's possible to include. In case of Uzbekistan, it was not included because it was only rainfall, but in case of Mongolia, it's included. Any type of risk, any form of systemic risk is included in the case of Mongolian product, because doesn't matter if the loss of vegetation is occurring from rainfall or insect or wind, as long as it happens in the whole village. As long as all the farmers in the village suffering from it, then it is insurance, and they're insured. Therefore, we have like kind of very large product portfolio. It's depend on the demand in the region, and their willingness to pay for the product. Because, but as I said, in Uzbekistan it was not included. In Mongolia it's included. We adjust the product on the demand of the different farming systems.
Okay, so with that, thank you very much. I have more questions myself, especially on the role of trust and farmers' adoption of this insurance, but I will leave that to face-to-face discussion perhaps when you return to Uzbekistan in the near future. So I would like to thank our speaker, Ihtiyor Bobojonov, and our discussant, Jarılkasım İlyasov. Thank you very much. I would like to thank our viewers for joining our last virtual session of the summer series. And I would like to thank our organizers, IAMO, and our colleagues at IFPRI. Just would like to let you know, our viewers, that we have a upcoming series of 8-week virtual sessions in the autumn, fall. Should be very interesting lineup speakers. So please be in the lookout in your email. You will get an email soon, either this week or September, about the upcoming virtual seminars in the fall session. So thanks very much, and stay safe and healthy for now. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you. Bye.